Good morning. Right. So things are improving. This morning's slide, unimpressive reaction when those earnings came out. And even hours later, I was looking, I guess it was around 7 o'clock or so. This was still like the futures were like well under the 50, give or take. So at least they're up above. Uh, this little short-term downtrend, let's just mark that off from that high here. We've got this little downward trend here. So just based on this information, our major resistance is up here, and intraday resistance will be up there where the 20 is. And the whole numbers, they have some effect, of course, on the futures, but primarily when we look at whole numbers, what we're interested in looking at is the SPX, those whole numbers. So we'll see where that's at. But this is a start within this downward move, and you can see what's beginning to happen right on the weekly time frame. And we've got all day today and tomorrow, but we're getting a nice wide range or range expansion bottoming tail bar on the weekly time frame, which is a good start to making a turn. What we typically would see is volatility begin to contract. And so we'll see what today and tomorrow ends, how far it gets up into this area here. But what I mean by that is you can see how the volatility expanded here, and then it contracted. It tightened up, what we call loose patterns. This is loose. And what typically will happen, and it can happen in different ways, is things begin to tighten up. The ranges begin to contract. And so this kind of a pattern right there, this is where you want to tend to get more aggressive. Whereas down here is where we're, especially after a wide range bar, we think credit spreads, a retest and a bottoming tail bar, anything down there lends itself to a very high probability put spread situation. Whereas when you get a tightening like this, after it pushes up and a red bar ignored, that's where you want to go more aggressive directionally, looking for a move up. So as pattern traders, well, here's another example right here where it tightens up. You see these kind of things over and over again. And that's why we look at price patterns, of course. Over here, tightening up. So what we'd love to see today and tomorrow, maybe hits the 20, it's going to back off. And then you can see that high right there lining up with those highs. And we'll see where they're at on SPY. But then staying up here, whatever the pattern's going to form, some kind of tightening up that would result in a move higher. So let's look at the Qs, which should be even better than these, or the futures. And these led the way down. And so here's that same downward trending whippy correction that occurred down into that major support area. And now, same story. At least it's above the 50. And these other futures not, well, the Qs probably will be too, right here, the ETF. But the same scenario. Right? This is coming up to resistance. It's likely it's going to stall there. It's already up a decent amount. And we see how it reacts there. Does it go sideways? Can it go higher? Does it start pulling back deeper? Again, it's coming up to that resistance area. It's not going to be a place to be buying. And so what we want to see, I don't know that we'll get a retest maybe. This is pretty wild and whippy actions to the downside. Maybe it'll just set up kind of sideways like this into next week. And of course, the shift is going to move away from conversation about Nivdia to the Fed, December. What are they going to do? What are they not going to do? Of course. Robert saying triple Q splits 2 for 1. Maybe more money moves into it. Well, I think people that trade it are not going to stop trading it. They'll adjust their position sizing, and as it opens up the door for maybe undercapitalized traders to be able to utilize it. I mean, the ranges are big right now, and so when we talk about loose or tightening, these ranges are big, and even intraday, the ranges are large, which can make it more difficult. You know, well, either you don't trade it at all, you trade something else, or you trade smaller share size. All right, let's see where the Russell is and the Dow futures. So this has really been clobbered, and if this is going to become, this market tighten up and all, money will start moving back into small caps, right? This is where more speculative stocks are, and institutions, retail, whatever, will start to move back into here. So this is an example of where a lot of damage has been done. And, here you've got the AI ETF, a lot of damage being done. So we covered that uh, earlier in the week. There's lots of damage has been done in these markets, and we'll see how things begin to look better. For example, software just annihilated. And expand that a little bit. So, the markets always hide what's going on under the hood, whether, things are damaged. And that's why we look at different sectors, for example, regional banks. Right? So maybe they continue to improve. It's up a little bit. We want to see what the financials do, what regionals do. Of course, semiconductors are going to be up, and just broader index of technology, and see a lot of damage having been done. All right. So let's look at YM. We'll just see where the ETFs are. So this broke down through major support, the low prior to a higher high. It's up here a bit, still well under the 50 MA. Remember, this led the way up. Over here rallied for that collapse. Ideally, we get the same kind of tightening up across the board coming days. Let's look at energy, just still a lot of going nowhere. So nothing to do there. And yeah, what's gold doing this morning? So I wouldn't really call it's starting to tighten up, but we need to see like a red bar ignored. It's just not a desirable pattern down here, where this is more obvious as to a retest and reversal. Yeah, so nothing to do there. And you can see silver similarly, just a more erratic type of price action. And Bitcoin, it's not ready yet. I'll be interested to see how this reacts today or not. And of course, what the markets are going to do. But ultimately, the ideal scenario for it to begin to stabilize would be down there at that major support level. But if buyers are anticipating, and this is one of the things that we always look for, is when we look to the left and see where there's a support area or resistance area, on the smaller time frame, do buyers begin to step in there ahead of that area, which is what that displays, is that more and more believe that they better get in before the obvious area. And that's positive. We don't have that yet. It's just beginning to hold for now. Where it poked under 90,000 momentarily before it regained it. All right, let's look at the Qs, see if they're above the 50. And Yeah, right up at that resistance area where they're stalling. You can see right here, the same area on the daily time frame. So that's coming into resistance, and we'll see how it reacts to that. You know, sellers are going to be there. It's moved up from there, and haven't even looked at SPX yet. Second. Options. Second here. Let's see. It's up at resistance as well. Right at the top. That bar. $15. So nothing touched yesterday. It's up here now, and it was 100. One of these moves that always goes too crazy where the extremes are at. And the extremes give us that guide. Bottom number. Wow. Okay. I'm doing a double take on these numbers. 60. Okay, let me see. 605. So just above the whole number. And let's move this here. And, and so 68.15 and 66.05. It's right about in the middle. It should not go back down there. If it does, something's very wrong. So put spreads on some retracement. And well, assuming it pulls back near the open since it's at resistance, right? We don't like going against a move until we get some type of evidence of it stalling. But considering it's at this resistance area, it's highly unlikely it's going up there today. If there's premium just above 6,800, it'd probably be a no-brainer with the 20 right there. And in no way should it be going back down there. And keep an eye on SMHs today. You can see where they're at, right? Everything's at resistance. So entering positions at this point would not be a smart thing to do. All right, wait for pullbacks, see if they can consolidate, and then we'll see where they go from there. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. A big event is out. We're waiting. Charts suggested higher, but we didn't want to get too aggressive into it. A couple of people in here did sell puts on the video. The chart totally supported that. You know, down. Look at all this support. Rising 50. So congrats to those. Getting paid for that bet. And the market's in a good mood here today. And we've been watching a ton of climbers this week, but the turns have not happened. So with today's gap up, we're going to have a ton of put spread ideas finally because the gap up is our turn. And I posted a bunch of them, and they're purposely not going to get hit unless we get a retracement. as Greg said, it's going to be very, very difficult here for directionals, but we should have a ton of put scripts. And actually, I posted two shorts. Why? Because the pattern supports it. Number one. Number two, they're only going to trigger if they're weak. And I'm bullish for a bounce here, but Greg did an excellent video over the weekend about showing all the problems under the hood. Look, market's at all-time highs. Look at the transports here. Housing. Look at that downtrend. It's horrible. He went through like 10 of them. Back. All right, other alarms. Still, I just posted. That's another example of a Climo but didn't make the turn. So we're getting lucky on that. Here's one, railroad. This is not a good Climo because it's parallel to the 20, but it's down a lot near support, and we've been watching for a turn. So my up alarm went off. On Amazon, I posted, and it's gapping over yesterday's bar, as most things are. So put spread on a pullback. Circle I've been watching. Well, not Circle, on the other one. This one's still lagging. Curve. That's what I was thinking about. See Curve trying to make the that's a climb up. See how it's accelerated from the 20, getting farther away. And so now the gap up is our turn. So that's a put spread if we get filled. Tex-Mex, another short. It's not only a 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's also a bare rectangle breakdown. So if it triggers, good to go. Looks good. Ice baby. I'm watching. Sell setup weekly, but possible higher low bottoming pattern. Look at this. Where are you? CK. It's kind of a similar one, although this was greater than 100% retracement. And now I got a buy setup. So that I have on a long watch list. Not a Climo, but just a little bouncer, put spread idea. Atmu, Alex, I think bought that last night. It's poised to buy setup. Should bounce for another day or two. My alarm went off. COSK, another Climo. I got an alarm up here at 11. SMR, another Climo, but hasn't made the turn. Hopefully today's gap we hold. VIPs. Kind of a bull rectangle. Avgo, sloppy as can be, but put spread under yesterday's low. Net was in the weekend, not the weekend letter. I posted it yesterday. It's gapping over the entry. That's a put spread. PayPal, cousin of XYZ, that's a Climo. Here's XYZ, had some news yesterday. I think they were halted and came out with some new numbers. SMCI, sloppier Climo, trying to make the turn. So I actually like this one over a 30-minute high. And why do I say that verse? It's good to go on a pullback. I'll tell you why. Because I'm not convinced of the turn yet. So I want this one to prove itself with taking out 30-minute high. That's the answer. On deck, bottoming pattern. What's today? Thursday. If it gets over Tuesday's high, put spread. And I think those are my alarm things. Let's go up to earnings here. I deleted a couple already. So Nivdia, put spread on a pullback. but today's Thursday, and I love selling credit spreads on Thursday and Friday. So 198. This could be a call spread also, 30-minute low. We'll keep an eye on it. And W. Okay, this was weaker, bouncing a little. You know, down a lot, but still weak. I don't have a bias. ODD 43 and change. Big gap, buy on a pullback. Joy, shoot, I had an alarm at 61. Now it's running too much. UTI 2770. There you go. There's a 30-minute. Well, see, I don't know where it's going to open, but that's a short idea. Walmart looking all over the place. You know, there's some big retailers this week. Home Depot, Lowe reporting. So those are barometers on the consumer spending. 129 MTs still looks lower. Looks like it's coming, well, another couple dollars, but no good entry. WMG 3120 put spread idea. Actually, I looked at put spreads on this yesterday, but there was no premium. Bips we looked at. All right, this one, BBWI, I have in my category of ugly gap, possible gap in snap for 1 DT put spread. I have it in the bottom right window here. This is gapping up 2370 and it's gapping on the top of the range. Shoe, that's 30-minute low, short. Look at that power downtrend, railroad track, 20 and 50. Look at all three moving averages. Sam, you're gonna have to find a new shoe store if these guys go out of business. Look, that's a great example of MAs. That's just in a nasty trend. So okay, that's it. So those were the earnings. Let's just see what else I got here. PI climb on. I see that one did make the turn. Whereas so many others I've showed you already, they were having difficulty making the turn. Amazon, we know about. Rig T, Greg, I think bought that yesterday. I sold puts on it myself. I did the 2450s for tomorrow, so I'm still in good shape. Lack, we bought calls yesterday. That looks good. Another bottoming pattern, but this was a bullish retest with a new low reversal by 7 weekly. So that looks good. That TMQ, Alex gave me. Oh, that's the one. That's the one with bought calls. All right, lack. Okay, I shorted thought I puts on lack yesterday, but this is a long watch also. I'm gonna put that in a window for directional. Lack. I just had an alarm on Paul go off. Alex told me, you know, so Alex made a comment that you should take your signals off the futures. And he said, Paul, futures long over yesterday. So, okay, so Alex is buying the futures. And this is an ETF, PALL on Palladium. And I've been watching it here, consolidating, rising 50. And if it takes out yesterday's high, little red bar ignored. Done, see, we buy on support. That's a reversal on support over yesterday's high. 4 U's. another bottoming pattern, trying to make the turn. I sold the $14 puts. So with the gap up, I'm in good shape. Curve, we talked about net, we talked about Oracle. I love that. This one did make the turn. I would have been all over this yesterday. I'm having Nivdia not announced, and we were talking in the green room about, how much it would be affected on Nivdia, and I just heeded caution and didn't do much. Quilius buy setup. There's not many just vanilla buy setups, and you might ask, well, why not? Well, because go look at the broader market. That's why not. Because typically the quantity of patterns is a function of what the broader markets look like. Set an alarm 139.50. Willius, Cyber. That's I don't know. It's down so much, but that's still weak. I want to watch these Bitcoin stocks, maybe for put spread balance. So there's IBIT, block. It's a Climo. Let's come back 30 minutes. XYZ we talked about. That would be a put spread idea. That's a Climo. Reversal on volume, but there's no premium. So PayPal, the cousin is okay. CSX, I have an alarm. That's a bear 1, 2, 3 breakdown, relative weakness, and now with it gapping up, I don't think it'll hit. Wi-Fi. Okay, let's hear it. This is good. This is gapping up from a Climo. So I like Wi-Fi. I will put this in a window. WYFI. I think I looked yesterday. It may not have earnings. Why? Okay, it does have earnings, but they're spreading. All right. 17.5, 55 by $1.50. PACS. That thing's on fire. Man, look at that gap up. That's an igniting gap and an igniting bar. Look at this thing, EXAS. Man, that was a buy yesterday. Now it's gapping at 101. Let's keep an eye on that for a call spread. Then SMCI I mentioned, 30-minute high, ICE I mentioned, got it cleared. So wow, perfect timing for me to be done. All right, Quilius alarm. There's Quilius. I'd rather 30-minute high. CPay gapped over my entry. Let's watch that on a pullback. I'll put CPay here, that middle chart. And I already checked puts, they're too spreading. Fizzler. Ooh, that's a wall of resistance. Ooh, I don't like that. It's actually a condor setup. Down here, sell the 240 put spread, sell the 272 call spread for tomorrow if there's any juice. Financials rocking here, oils are up. I just saw banks, KBWB regionals moving. We all knew the video was going to be a party igniter or Debbie Downer. Here's your Papa India. I think Alex, you mentioned that yesterday, but need a pullback now. Look at this CPay middle chart, looks great. I guess rather a pullback in the markets here. Look at the Qs and spiders get right to major resistance on the hourly. So what the buy is, so this buy controlled pullback on the 15. NG we bought yesterday. I sold $5 puts. That's like no, what? Is that right? No, I sold $9 puts. All right, so that's relative weakness right now. I'm still profitable though in my November goal. I see that's the benefit of selling a put. It can go against you and you still make money. Diamonds at heavy M's rocking here. Look at that power move pre-market. You're chasing, but looks higher. I gets killed by NG puts for profit. So I want to babysit relative weakness. Yeah, that's why I said to go for a day or two, but I think you're gonna have trouble near the high of that red bar. My four U's relative weakness also. I think I might kill this. I got a nice profit. I got $15 puts for tomorrow. I'm gonna kill it here at a profit. Relative weakness. I don't DTM alarm. I don't remember that one. That's our break even. All right, that's our. Let me see if I typed break even or if it's just my alarm. DTM. Yeah, sell break even. So we're out of DTM. Good. That's a mess. Turned in. I didn't like the retracement. Hmm. We're gone. Let's see what. Well, we need a pullback on some of these puts for it. Yeah, 19 on 15. 38, obviously for now. Not TMQ, low alarm. All right, look, that's relative weakness too. But shoot, some of these bottoming patterns that we're fooling around with, relative weakness. Yeah, PI have it good. This Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi looks good. Let's do half lot now, half lot 30-minute time. Do it over 1950. So 1951. Ooh, Carnival. Oh, I didn't know it was gapping up. I was gapping down, but hey, now that would be a fantastic 1, 2, 3. That's a big old range. And what's this other one? BVWI. Remember I said yesterday, I like when they sell off pre-market like this. Yeah, Rootsy's kind of relative weakness too. Mm, yeah, oh, I got the 24.5 puts. I'm gonna bid 22. XHE alarm. We're in that. Bryant. Another one that's friggin' lagging. Man, I'm not in a lot of these things we entered yesterday that I said were lagging are still lagging. 13, 11.5. All right. Look, this thing can't get out of its way. But well, this one Bitcoin related is fine.